Shalom. First and foremost, like to God, Salakia. Shalom. First and foremost, like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem and Karkadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. Say shalom to your Akim out there. And this is another news article for In the News, November 16, 2022, 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on this Wednesday night. And this is a news article from ArabNews.com. And the highlight of this news article, they read, fighting flares in Yemen's Taiz as Houthis attack military base. It says heavy fighting between Yemen government forces and Iranian-backed Houthis broke out on Wednesday in the city Taiz. It says the Houthis have been attacking vital air defense military bases for some time in an attempt to seize control of it. The dengue outbreak has killed 22 since January, with 14,000 ill, amending chronicle medication shortage. And it says heavy fighting between Yemen government forces and the Iranian-backed Houthis broke out on Wednesday in the city of Taiz. Right, so the huge fighting broke out once again between these two different nations. It says after the military bombarded and attacked a strategic hilltop military base, local army officials said. Abdul Basi al-Bahar and Yemen military officials in Taiz told Arab News that the Houthis shell an air defense military base in the northwest Taiz on Wednesday morning before sending ground troops to attack the base. It sparked heavy fighting with government troops and explosions rocked different neighborhoods. Army soldiers pushed back to Houthis and exchanged machine gun fire, forcing them to leave, the Al-Bahar says. The Houthis have been attacking the vital air defense military base for some time now in the attempt to seize control of it, which give them fire control over several areas in densely populated city and allowed them to completely tighten their siege of Taiz by closing a route that connects the city to southern towns. The air defense military base is a sprawling military complex that stretches out numerous hills and was developed by China in the 1970s. Al-Bahar says the Houthis will fully seize control of the northwest region of Taiz in Yemen. If they gain control of the base, they would thus use light weaponry to block the long routes connecting to the city to the outside world. It says 4 years the Houthis have been bombed civilian districts and struck military sites in Taiz in the attempts to overcome government armies. Fortifications, Salakia meant to say, that have prevented them from taking control of the city's downtown. The Houthis have not ceased attacking the city during the year-end broke truce that went into force on April the 2nd of this year. It says international mediators have been unable to sway the Houthis to lift their siege of Taiz by opening at least one key roadway in and out the city, as well as to adhere to the terms of the truce, which demand de-escalation. It says, Salakia about that. It says the latest violence in Taiz comes as local health officials in the city says on Wednesday that a dengue outbreak has killed 22 people since the beginning of this year, and 14,000 more are suffering the illness and chronic medical supply shortages. Ahmad Mashar, a health official, told the Arab News that the outbreak has spread throughout the city, and people have been flooding the understaffed and under-equipped medical institutions. It says Yemen officials issued an urgent appeal to government agencies and foreign relief groups for assistance in treating the patients and eliminating the mass breeding sites. This sickness is spreading at an alarming rate throughout, as well as the heavy populated and impoverished communities. We lack resources to cope with the outbreak. It kind of seems like that's a plague. That's a plague as well too. Uh, it says the resources cope with the outbreak. Mashar said the Houthis seized Taiz, Tertullian downpours, the inadequate assistance from the Yemen government and the foreign organizations are blamed for the development of the disease. It says the siege of Taiz, the primary cause of the outbreak, worsens. We required fewer reducing medical interventions, fluids, and platelet transfusions, Massar said. Residents of Taiz has long complained that the Houthis' blockage have forced them to travel on the hazardous steppe routes to get in and out of the city or to transport essential supplies. Bring out that Luke 21 and 25 first. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and the stars upon the earth, the distress of nations. And that's what we're seeing with the continuing clashes of the Yemen forces and the Iranian-backed groups as heavy battles continue in that region, as civilians dealing with a type of plague as well too, as they try to import and export certain type of goods and things, as citizens try to flee in that area, in that region, while Houthi rebels keep on attacking the Yemen government forces in the northwestern region or the northeastern region of Yemen, as the clashes continue to increase between the both. But continuing on with the scripture, with perplexity and the seas and the rays of warring. Right, because we're seeing the increase of perplexity, of the stress of the nations and uproars in the people, proxy wars, commotions of wars, rumors of wars are heating up now so more than ever, because you just don't have only one clashes and wars going on between in one region. It's going on around the world as well too, with the Middle East tensions, with the Palestine versus Israel, and the cross-border conflict in Syria and Iraq as well too. And now you got this over here in Yemen, so you still got the nations are rising up and against one another and around the world, and that's what we're seeing. And it's going to increase as well too, and the perplexity and the stress of nations, and that's what we're seeing around the world, and it's going to furthermore continuing to increase. And this is the book of Luke 21 and 9. When ye should hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by, right? Because the reason why the end is not fully yet, because these things are going to continue to increase, along with the charagma of the MOTB. That's right along with the WW3, because we seeing that increases as well too. We seeing signs of that, go to Matthew's. Matter of fact, Mark. Instead of the Matthews, and bring out the Mark 13 and 7, then through verse 8. This is the book of Mark. So it's kind of similar precept. This is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 7. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must need be, but the end shall not be yet. Right? Because we're seeing the increase of the nations against nations and the wars and rumors of wars. And that rumor of war we heard over there, supposedly a potential strike. I believe it was an air defense strike by Ukraine by mistake. Then it was first reported that Russia did that strike. Now new reports coming out saying that it was a air defense missile intercepting of a missile defense from Ukraine by mistake. So it was going to further, if it was 100% blamed on Russia, I believe NATO was going to use Article 4 or Article 5 to intense the tensions, which is already going on in Russia and Ukraine, to get these other nations involved, like Moldova. They was on alert as well too. Romania and troops throughout Eastern Europe as well too. So if that was true or not, so that's a rumor of war right there. So you're gonna have these things increasing more and more and more, because these rumors of wars you hear on the news might be 100% rumor, might not be true, and then you're gonna have a rumor of war. It's actually being a reality of it is happening. Between the clashes between the nations and different kingdoms is what we are seeing right now. Over there in Yemen, heavy fighting is continuing with the Iranian-backed allied groups of Houthi rebels against the Yemen government forces as they continue to try to control the area in that region of citizens that need supplies, because they dealing with a current outbreak over there. So that's a plague with this outbreak, they saying, according to the media reports, because that's a plague that's upon the world as well too, increasing, along with the perplexity of the stress of nations. And that's what we're seeing, the uprises and the uproars in the people in the world. You can read that in 2nd Ezra 9 and 3. That's increasing. And I believe it was another something happened over there in the Iran region over there. It was like multiple people got shot and killed by a gunman, I believe, in that region. I don't know if it has something to do with the current protests going on over there, or something between the Iranians and the Kurds, because they've been clashing with each other as well too, along with the Turks and the Turkish people, with the military operation happening over there in the eastern part of Iraq. It was like Iran was firing missiles against the Kurdish soldiers, and then Turkey was going to plan to have target areas of the Kurdish soldiers in Syria. They're going to begin their new mission operation over there. So it's a lot of different things going on. That's why I brought out that Luke 21 and 25 of the distress of nations, and that's what we're seeing. Even if it's the nations going against their leaders that's in power and they're in the uproar against them, protesting about it, or it's the nations in perplexity of the stress of going against one another, that as well too. So it's going to continue to increase and build more and more and more, as the latter days progresses on, in these current modern day times that we are living in, And this is the book of Mark 13 and 8. For nations shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines. Right, that current famine outbreak over there in Yemen. And troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows, right? Because these are the increasing beginning days of sorrows. Because these things are going to increase more and more and more. These just the beginning of sorrows of what we're scene that's taking place on the planet Earth, you know. Now, it's going to be times when it's that peace and safety type mode, you know, around the world. And then you're going to deal with the nations, commotions of wars, rumors of wars, nations rising up against nations, kingdom against kingdoms. You know, you're going to see these things increasingly, you know. And so with that, I hope this sit down lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushai on November 16, 2022 at 5:45 p.m. Central Standard Time on this Wednesday night. And I hope this lesson was edifying for the audience out there. And I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem, Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and a ball.